If you're someone that's clicked on this link because you're thinking about suicide, then I want to talk with you. First thing I'd want you to know is that you're not alone. We know that about 20% of young men and 30% of young women at some point in their lives will think about suicide. I also want you to know that suicide is often associated with other situations, other conditions like anxiety or depression, and these are very treatable conditions. But I need you to give us the opportunity to help. Depression can affect us in all kinds of ways. It can certainly make the way we feel that much worse, obviously. It also affects our relationships with family and friends. It can affect our marks in school, how we get along with others, and just how we see the world. I'd like to give you a common example of how depression can affect you. People who are depressed and suicidal will often tell me that they feel alone, that they're feeling isolated. Part of what happens with depression is we begin filtering out all those positive things that people may be telling us, and we only latch on to the negative. In the same way, we focus on our own flaws, unable to see the qualities that others may see in us. If you were to ask a friend why they're a friend of yours, you may think, well, I don't know, maybe they feel sorry for me. There's no really good reason for it. And yet, they would have much better answers than that because they are able to see your qualities. So in treating this depression, we can help you sort out some of these thoughts, some of these distortions in your thinking, and see the world in a more balanced light. Not that it's a wonderful, safe, and perfect place, because it isn't always, but to see it in a more balanced light. Another way that depression can compound our sense of isolation or our struggles to feel okay is that we may start declining invitations to do things with other people, believing that if we do, we'll have a bad time, kind of fortune telling that how things will turn out. So I don't want to do that because I probably won't have any fun. Or if someone invites us to do something, turning them down because, well, maybe they only feel sorry for me and that's why they're asking, or they didn't have anything better to do. And again, you can hear the depression in there, and yet I need you to know that oftentimes that's not reality, that's another distortion in your thinking. But what happens is, again, it makes those feelings of isolation, that sense of being alone in this world, that much more difficult. Other experiences that may contribute to a sense of feeling suicidal may involve a past of bullying or abuse. And the most important thing I'd like you to know that those situations, that those experiences are not your fault. That those who've been abused, those who've been bullied are victims of others, but didn't bring this on themselves. One of the things that often goes along with a history of bullying or being abused is a sense of shame. That this is so awful what's been experienced that I cannot possibly tell another person about this. And sometimes people may even have that same sense of shame about feeling suicidal. One of the things that helps alleviate that sense of shame, though, is developing a relationship with someone like a therapist that you can trust and begin to discuss some of those things. The more we avoid talking about something, the greater that sense of shame, the greater that sense that this is unspeakable, it's so awful. And yet when we do speak about it, when we do find someone we can trust in a therapeutic relationship and discuss some of these things, there's a tremendous sense of relief. People realize that they're not being judged, that they're not seen as being somehow guilty or shameful because of what's happened to them. Same thing happens in the case of suicidal feelings. I said earlier that sometimes there is a sense of shame that can go with those as well. And I want you to know that when people have confided in me or confided in others about these feelings, that there's a tremendous sense of relief, that they've finally been able to tell this awful thing that they've been going through alone and to share that burden with somebody else. So I encourage you to reach out and to talk with someone and let them know how you've been feeling. Feeling suicidal can sometimes feel a bit like being in a hole so deep that you can no longer see the light. And I want you to know that by clicking on this link, you've taken that first courageous step towards getting some help and being able to come back and see the light a little bit more. The next step may be to talk with someone about this. And I'm going to give you a couple of phone numbers where you can reach out and talk with someone. In Eastern Ontario, the Youth Services Bureau Crisis Line is available at 613-260-2360 or toll free at 1-877-377-7775. Across Canada, you can also talk to someone toll free at the Kids Help Phone at 1-800-668-6868. And I want you to know that I'm really hopeful that once you do take that next step, once you do talk to someone, that it is the first step towards getting better, to feeling like the world's a little bit safer, a little bit better place to live. Thank you.